Welcome to Canada Startup, how to 10 times your business. And how are you today, Bill?
Doing very well, thanks, Dave. How are you?
Fantastic. Well, we're really happy to be working with Lead Pedal Radio. I had a big shout out today to the Global Dialogue Foundation, Unity and Diversity team in India. They wanted me to do a little shout out to them. I was on the call with them about 12 hours ago.
Right on.
Which is India evening time. And we were talking about some different social media, which is part of today's how to 10 times your business.
Okay.
Yet, when you think about that, Bill, how to 10 times your business, what's the first one or two things that comes to mind?
It's something I really need to start thinking that way. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I still need to wrap my head around, magnifying something tenfold. And I believe the other thing that comes to mind is it's something that I wouldn't do alone. I would want to assemble a team.
Well, that's probably the first stage, Bill. And it's one of the things that many entrepreneurs, they don't really think of. That, in fact, if you listen to people who are making the transition from being an intrapreneur or working in a job to being an entrepreneur, the phraseology that you often hear is, I want to do something on my own. I want to do something on my own. And it's quite fascinating because stage one of starting a business consists of these three components. First, it's the idea, then the brand, then the team. And if people who are watching today and they're thinking about doing entrepreneurship, one of the things we invite them to do is to stop thinking that you're going to do it on your own and start thinking about who you might collaborate, who might be great on your team. A friend of mine wrote a great book, which is complementary to this topic, which is Entrepreneur X Factor, Inspiring Entrepreneurship, the Beer Mat Entrepreneur in UK, Mike Southern. He wrote a book that is really that you need to have at least three people on your team. Often it's one person out selling, another person to deliver, and the other to make sure all the books are done correctly. And so when you're thinking of an idea, you want to share maybe an idea, the brand, the team, and how important that is in the project that you're working on right now?
Yeah, the team part, to me, I think that's huge. I've really learned over the last little while that since we've been talking, the importance of the team. It's just there's too much information that if you're trying to do this all alone, it's almost impossible to do. I mean, you end up working for, like $2 an hour or something like that. You need people to help. And then the other thing that you gain from the team is that other person might have knowledge that you don't have, but then you have the ability to talk through that and go to an even higher level. So that's what I like about the team. The idea part is fun because I find with that there's a lot of brainstorming and you can go wild. And then, if you leave it no holds barred and go crazy at the beginning, then you can just hack it down. Okay, this is what I really feel comfortable with. And then to brand part for me, I guess, looking at it from this like a small startup, I think would want to be something somewhat in line with what I believe in. So if I'm not going to do something totally off the wall, there is going to be a huge amount of what I believe in. And then that will also affect what people I choose for my team. So yeah, they're all circled in together.
Absolutely. These three ideas. First, it's the idea. And it's something that hopefully is going to be addressing something you like. You're going to have some fun. You're solving a problem. You see a challenge and you're figuring out some ways to disrupt. Branding is something that you can bring in experts with this one. You can go and use Fiverr, or you can go use Upwork, and you can get some branding expertise to come in to guide you or work with you. And then the team is, if you can find that team where you've got people who are the action oriented, people who might be the precise, and people who are people oriented. So that's one of the things that in entrepreneurship, there's something right now that's called executive loneliness. And if you're working in a company and you're doing everything and you don't have two or three other people that you can really mastermind with or create heart circles with or really strategize, you're really missing out on a huge potential. So it's one of those areas is that's this stage one of allowing your team to speak up, to be able to encourage them. Because as an entrepreneur, this is the part that you've got to grow as a leader.
Yes.
And you've got to nurture everyone on your team to grow as a leader. Because at the startup phase, everybody is doing sales. Everybody is doing customer service. Everybody. So there's this element that your first 1, 2, 3, up to 10 employees, the founder is often put in a position where they really got to grow their ability to delegate.
Yes.
And so they've got a fascinating journey there of having to delegate, yet also having to grow, yet also having to perhaps nurture their team. And so that's something that is quite challenging, quite daunting. And that's one of the reasons why I have a feeling that, again, over 90% of businesses that are started do fail in the first 5 years.
Yes, I can see that. Yeah.
And so if you were, again, the idea stage, is there 1 or 2 tips that you might have for people who are wrestling with an idea, the syndrome of they think they've got the best idea and they're afraid to share it with anybody? That's a real syndrome of some starter entrepreneurs, is someone's going to steal my idea. And what would be 1 or 2 things that you might suggest to people who are trying to put the idea out and maybe even getting some feedback to go or to pivot or to move forward?
Yeah. One of the things I think start small. I think rather than trying to figure out how you're going to get to that $1 million sales company, make $10,000 10 times, get your 100,000, and then do that 10 times. Because eventually the model, you're going to, every time, what do you call them? Learning cycles. You're going to go through your different learning cycles as you get bigger and bigger. And rather than going all out and doing, a large batch, do smaller batches. And then it allows you to correct things a lot quicker instead of going all big and then finding out, oh, people don't like this. Do it small, gain your feedback. Okay, we're good on that. Let's take it another step, gain your feedback, and so on, and keep building like that. I think that would be definitely one thing to consider. That's
a great idea, Bill. In fact, it's one of the mysteries of entrepreneurship. Is you ever wonder why famous architects tend to be quite old before they become famous? And it's the length of the learning cycle. When they're a chief architect, that learning cycle of putting up a building tends to be anywhere from 5 to 8 years.
Right.
And so for you to just be in charge of 5 big projects, it's like 40 years. So you start after university at 25. By the time you've done 5 cycles, you're 65.
Yeah.
So in one of the businesses that I got involved with, we decided to have a magazine, and it was a monthly magazine. So every year we would have at least 12 learning cycles.
Right.
And so exactly what you just said, if you can go and develop the learning cycles where the team gets to work, you get to brainstorm, you get to have a deliverable, you get feedback, you're talking to your customers, it allows you to really crank it out. The team gets better. The players on the team, they know how to participate. They develop cycles of performance that is working towards excellence. So definitely, I think if you're starting out in business right now, folks, is don't think you're going to go do your first deal $1 million. Go do a couple of 500 or 5,000, or allow yourself to go through those learning cycles. And it's something that is really important. And it's something that stalls a lot of entrepreneurs, is they got lots of big ideas, yet they don't get into the sales cycle. And that sales cycle is so important in almost every business also.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a huge point, because the selling, it's selling on many different levels, because you're selling to your customer. So you want to solve their problems. And then as the owner or the entrepreneur, you're also selling your ideas to your team to make sure they're all going to come on that same trip with you. Right. So you have to learn how to sell on many different platforms.
And I think that's one of the great things that you might be saying to almost any entrepreneur is, if you say to yourself, you're no good at sales, or you don't like sales, wow, I'm not sure entrepreneurship's right for you.
Right.
Now, you might use a different word. You might use the word persuasion or influence, yet It really is about first selling yourself and then selling your team and then selling your clients and then being able to provide the customer service. So it's a full circle, yet often is about sell, sell, sell.
Yeah.
And so with the team, one of the things that I've been working with over the years is profiling systems, and whether it's something as simple as the 4 Ps. So on a team, you want to have what's called a powerful. They're the ones that are go, go, go. And then you want to have somebody who's a people person. They're often going to be that person who ensures things gets done. And then you want to have the playful. The playful is often the person who is going to engage with customers, is going to go out and party, build up the network. And then you're often need a peacemaker. When things get riled up, you have some complaints. If you have a peacemaker, and then the final is a precise. And so this is the 4P method. Another one could be love languages. I've used love languages as a profiling tool. And then I've also been involved with a number of business profilings that have been very, very useful for an entrepreneur. And if you're an entrepreneur listening to this today and you're interested to perhaps use profiling, let us know. Send us a message and we'll talk to you a little bit about potentially working with you and your team to figure out the best way to communicate with everybody on the team. So much of that is important about building the team and building yourself as a leader. And so that's stage 1, folks. And let's go to stage 2, which was really the crux of what we wanted to get to today, is how to 10 times your business. And frankly, if you haven't looked at this is one of the amazing things right now, is partners, equity, and acquisition to 10 times your business. And so when you look at that list, Bill, do you have a question or do you have a thought about, wow, 10 times your business is actually about these 3 areas?
So who would you consider as partners?
Fantastic question, Bill. And again, partners, like this is the idea, is that partners really is a concept that partners could be your staff, your business partners. Often companies will call all of the employees, all of the staff partners. Big businesses often will have partners. If you're, like we've been talking about on the investing side, if you buy some Disney stock, you're a shareholder. You are considered 3 or 4 different types of partners. You're a client, you're a stockholder, you're a advocate. So partners can be people who could be your partners, as in suppliers. Those are partners. This is where you really start to take your business 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. In the projects that you're working on right now, can you imagine getting Fortinos to be one of your distribution partners?
Yeah, that would be okay. Yeah, now I see where you're going.
Your business goes from 1 or 2 products to 100,
right,
to 1,000, to how many can you deliver?
Yeah.
And so that's a partnership distribution. A partner for you could be Shopify. They're your platform partner.
That's our platform. Yeah.
Exactly. So that could be training partner. That could be your platform partner. If you become a success, they'll start promoting you because they want everyone in the world to know they're successful partners.
Right. Yeah.
Your legal department could be a partner because not only registering your business and working for your trademarks, they might start opening up their clients to provide your product during Mother's Day and Christmas and other types of holidays. That's another part. Yeah. Your accountants, not just to do your books, actually figuring out a way that you might do a campaign with your tax advisor.
Right.
So I think I've just listed about 5 or 6 potential partners. Yet really that's a different way of looking at business, that you're just not looking at people for what you can get from them or transact. It's actually, in what ways can I provide more service or value to them? And in what way could they maybe provide more to me? And you might solve a lot of problems that other people have too.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I liked about it, you didn't go too far outside of an entrepreneur's circle. You need suppliers so they could become partners. you're using platforms of one sort or another, whether it be your accounting platform or your website platform or whatever. So there's another one. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Not having to go out too far out. It's not like, I guess, where I'm thinking is partner. Okay, where am I going to find somebody that wants to be part of this when everybody's right in my backyard type of thing?
It
So
really is
really cool.
It's just a little shift to start thinking relationships. Start thinking, okay, 10 times my business. Do my suppliers, do they want me to 10 times my business? Yes. Now that's where we get into the next topic, and that's into equity and into acquisition, which is again a different mindset. And that's why we call it stage 2, because the entrepreneur really has to grow into wanting to 10x their business, because it's a very different business when it's a soulpreneurship. It's a mom and pop shop. It's going to have only maybe family members working in it, to 5 times the number of staff, 10 times the number of staff, 100 times the staff. And these are things that you can start looking at when you start looking at equity partners or acquisitions, because the supplier that you have today, you might acquire them. They might invest in you, because if they're more established, one of the things that we do notice these days is that there's going to be a lot of businesses that roll up in the next 6 to 12 months. There might be opportunities to acquire resources, premises, companies that the founders are looking to retire. And so that's where you start really looking at, wow, if I had this supplier and they even invested, I might buy them, yet they might invest, and then they become part of this new business, and you put them on the board of advisors. And so they can actually see some of their dreams becoming part of a new reality.
Yeah. So again, I guess looking at like acquisition, first thing that came to my mind is somebody buying the company. But I like what you've brought forth there is the other way around, like building up things that the entrepreneur goes and buys somebody else, whether it be a supplier or whatever. I think that's, I guess, stuff that get wrapped around in your head as an entrepreneur, that a lot of these things are more than one way.
Well, that's when you're starting to really look at your wealth network. The people that you know, is that someone you look at as a potential financier for you. You can also potentially look at a way that you could be somebody who delivers opportunities to them. And so instead of just looking at that you want their money, wouldn't it be even more valuable if you provide such great service to them, is that they want to potentially invest in you, yet also open up their network to you?
Yes.
And that's when we're looking at things like the Shark's Den and the Dragon's Den, that they're providing not only the money's just a portion of what they're providing, the experience, the network, the strategy, the board of advisors. This wisdom, this value is something that's so much more valuable. And it's one of the things that it's as somebody who's looking for investment, there's smart money and there's dumb money. Dumb money is just the money. Smart money is the money, but also perhaps the know-how to 10 times it. Because to 10 times your business, you pretty much have to be willing to stop doing 90% of what you're doing right now.
Yes.
So you have to unlearn and then learn.
Right.
And so that's where equity, you've got to have an understanding of cash flow, of dollars, of investments. You got to start thinking that it's just not money flow. These days, it could be product flow. It could be technology flow. One of your partners could be a technology partner who might bring investment. It might dilute you. So you go from being 100% to 50% to 40% to 20%. Yet that's part of the real 10 times your business. Would you rather be 100% owner of $100 business or a 30% owner of a $3 million business?
Yeah. So when you've been with your different businesses that you've owned, Dave, what did you find were maybe like the two toughest things that you had to let go of when it came to, like, were you even able to do that? Or what were those two tough things that you found were really tough to let go when it came to being the owner, the entrepreneur?
I believe that it really is about, for me, it was often about letting go of some of the things that I like to do, yet let 5 other people do it, and go start learning some of the things that maybe I didn't know very well, or I even had some challenges with. I need to build up a new team. So quite often it's about going and working with the different teams and working on ways to really get them to grow. So my biggest challenge, I think, was really finding fits for people in where their skills, their talent, their hunger, their passion was aligned. And so quite often people have a bigger impression of what they can do as opposed to where they're at. So that's one of the things that we're finding with the young ones right now, is they want to be the vice president before they've learned to read the financials, or they've done financial analysis. They want to go and be able to do the $5 million deal. And so some people do get ahead of themselves, and pitching and selling, and always is a little bit of that. So customer service, there's an awareness, there's an understanding, there is something about having time in the seat, and that experience that some people might not want to put in the hard yards.
Right.
Especially if the training there has been, oh, just do what you're passionate about, as opposed to, no, if you want to become a good hockey player, you've got to learn how to turn left and right, shoot backhands and forehands. No, but I only want to shoot forehands. Oh, I only want to stand in front of the net. Well, that's the attitude of some people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to go too far when you want to play like that.
Yes. So I think that's one of the key successes of a company that will grow, is that they will hire slow and they will fire fast.
Right.
And so that's one of the things when you're scaling and you're taking your business. And I had a number of businesses that we went from like 5 to 10 to 30 to 50 people. And that was probably the biggest challenge, is really getting people in the right positions and instilling them their ownership. And again, these days, you really do need to have a strong legal team, especially in North America.
Yeah.
It's really tricky, because I find that type of learning quite challenging. So I tended to outsource it, and we attracted people that did have legal degrees or accounting degrees, and we wanted them to be the experts there. Yet the funny thing is that those folks aren't necessarily sometimes the most creative. And when I was in the bank, I did have some really great resources that were great lawyers, yet also very good at playing the gray. And if you really want to scale your business from 10 times to 100 times, then you're really going to need some astute legal and accounting and tax minds. Right. And that's where you do want to pay for it. And if you can get them as partners, that's even better.
Yeah. You need that creativity, that's for sure.
Playing the gray in that area. And that's what the big boys really do well, is that they get the laws written, or they write the laws, yet they also then figure out a way to play the area that they can make the most profit, they can be the most disruptive. And that is something that is quite common in the next level of entrepreneurship. And again, I'm going to give you a little quote here. Maybe you can read that.
All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Yeah, I've heard that before. Mr. Walt Disney.
Yes. And so this mindset shift is what we're talking about here, for a business to go from X to 10X. Wow, that's amazing. And that's one of the things that Disney did so brilliantly, is he often would have a 10-year plan, a 30-year plan, a 50-year plan, a 100-year plan. Mm-hmm. And most people who go in entrepreneurship, again, probably 80 or 90%, don't do that. They're not thinking about building something that is going to have a legacy.
Yes.
And there's a few people I know that have done that in some of the businesses that I've been involved with, and organizations and social entrepreneurs that have actually structured it that it will continue beyond their lifetime.
Yeah, no, that's why I guess one of the big things I am impressed, like that I enjoy the whole Disney concept, just how he took care of his team right from the frontline guy all the way through, and he's been able to communicate and um, that whole message to keep it going. I mean, still to this day, the guy that's out in the front line is just as valuable as the guy that's in the big corner office type of thing. So, no, I really enjoy learning that stuff from Walt Disney.
I think if you take a look at some of the earnings reports from Disney, it's got some great wisdom in there on their human resource strategies. And again, he had to go through generations and generations. Like, again, when they first created a lot of those first movies, for instance, everything was done by hand.
Yes.
And so he had to continue to adapt to new technology, to new ideas. And that's something that, again, as an entrepreneur, letting go of what you know. So
Yes.
if in the next 3 years, you're not letting go of almost everything you know, because the next wave of information, platforms, technology is what you've got to be looking at. Today, Apple released their new series of eye products,
Okay.
and AirPods and new products, and it was incredible. It was like watching a show, and
Yeah.
the visual of it. And I'm going to encourage people today to take a look at it on YouTube. You'll see how they're orchestrating the storytelling of Apple now. And so you right now, by using Shopify, you could be orchestrating the story that you want to tell. If you're going to be doing something special for Mother's Day, there could be stories that could be told. Little videos, little doodlies. These are things that could be fun ways to create a connection and an emotion.
Definitely. Yeah, Jackie's been doing all kinds of neat stuff as far as communicating the story already. And we've talked a lot about that, getting the story and just communicating the story, that whatever's done today is going to change because it's going to be constantly evolving. And it's just, keep telling the story.
And that's what's really beautiful about partners again. Like I think what you've been doing is you've been thinking about, wow, we could have partners in Peru. We could have partners in Asia. We could have partners in India. So one product sold here in Toronto can actually have a global impact. And that sort of gives me goosebumps. It's like, and it could be making a difference in people's lives. And that's the foundation of how Buy One, Give One came about.
Oh, right. Okay.
Masami Sato had a vision, a view that, wouldn't it be cool if something that was done in Singapore, maybe a water product was sold in Singapore and it could maybe feed somebody some water in India or Africa? Or wouldn't it be cool if we had a business partnership with a TV manufacturer, and every TV that was bought, perhaps somebody who was blind got surgery, so they got their vision. So get vision, give vision. And so these beautiful stories can be weaved so that you're creating a social entrepreneur venture that is having a greater impact than you might think.
Yeah. You never realize, right? Yeah,
well, that's the beautiful thing, I believe, with partnerships. It's like you and the team could sit around and say, well, in the next 5 years, who would we love to be doing business with?
Yeah.
Because
that's a great point.
If you write them down and you start seeing, oh, wow, they're doing this over there. Maybe we can start doing it with them, or maybe we could gift this, or maybe part of our contribution could be strategic, that we're going to be looking at providing a little pay it forward as part of our plan.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm having so much fun with, like just getting beyond that do it all yourself thing as an entrepreneur, just working with a team and being able to talk things through, and the ideas that are coming around. Like we have a third member with the team already, with myself and Jackie, and it's the ideas that come forth are just amazing. It's a lot more fun when you can share the journey and share the story than when you're just sitting and trying to do everything on your own and losing your hair and all that fun stuff, right?
Absolutely. So as we go to the next level, and this is, again, it's mind-boggling when you start to think about it just off the top, yet it can be part of the conversation. And that's stage 3, when you scale to 100 times. And I remember a couple of the businesses that we did have is that, yeah, we planned to create a $100 million business. yeah, we decided that that was the plan, and we did about a 16-year plan, and we looked at doubling and doubling and doubling, and that was part of the strategy. And I guess that's what's really beautiful these days, is that these do happen, and so you need to study them a little bit.
Right.
And so right now, my favorite one to talk about or to study is Canva.
Right.
Just because the way that that business started as solving a problem, that there weren't very many good tools to do graphic design.
Yeah.
When the CEO was putting together the high school grad book, the book yearbook.
What are they valued at now?
I believe they just got valued at $20 billion. And so, and we're going to see them become public in the next 12 months, I believe.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be surprised at 50 billion. Yet if anyone hasn't seen Canva lately or familiar with it, check it out, because even if you've seen it 6 months ago, it might shock you, because they did raise, I believe, 100 million just to put into new product design.
Yes.
And so now it's like go-to for creating video and editing and intros and outros, and they've got all of these different ways to monetize the experience. They've got the premium product, but then they got the opportunity to buy individual, and so it's really become an incredible suite for designers or wannabe designers.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what type of learning curve or learning cycle they have, because I mean, if for whatever reason, if you are not in there for even a month, it's like coming back to a totally new app. So it'd be interesting to learn something like that, what type of learning cycles they have, because exactly like you say, they've, even in such a short period of time, they've gone from just doing simple pictures to now full website stuff and videos and everything in between it. It's very cool. And
so again, what they've done there is they've really enhanced the ecosystem. And so in the scaling from going from 10 times to 100 times, that's when you're really exploring alternative ways to have cash flow and real fun, engaging, uplifting systems. So everything's about the systems. And again, the greatest teacher of that these days, you can look at any of the big guys, yet Apple with their ecosystem. And then it was Facebook with their ecosystem. And then we have Google with the YouTube ecosystem. And so all of these ecosystems are educational on one hand. They're very engaging. They're somewhat addictive.
Yeah.
They're using artificial intelligence. They're giving you feedback. And these are the things that the cash flow is required. Yet the interesting thing about cash flow, it doesn't mean it needs to be your cash flow. Like that's why a lot of these companies do, as they grow to 10 times and people see them becoming possibly real disruptors at 100 times or 1,000 times, they're going to give you the money to invest to systemize it. And so that cash flow is not about profits. It's not even about sales. It's about addressable tangible market, or ATM. And that's a term that, again, a lot of people like to use. Yet if you looked at the addressable market for all design work, it's like, again, the number must be 100 billion or more. And so for them to get a percentage of that, and pretty much in the last 8 years, they've become the market leader.
Right.
And so if you're looking at that in your business right now, the 10 times could be exciting. You really need to infuse those questions. Well, what if? What if? And again, what's beautiful about those questions, Bill, is if we look at even our upbringing in Malton, can you think of a family business that has gone and basically went way beyond 100x?
Yeah, Longo's.
You got it.
They just remember he was just that little corner store at was it Airport and
Dairy.
Airport and Dairy.
That's right.
And then they built from there. Yeah, no, that's I look at that all the time.
So that was just a little store, and it's actually they held out quite a while.
Yeah.
And they got a good deal. I believe they got a really good deal because this is, again, cash flow, but also equity and acquisition. Is they got paid a certain amount for that so that they were able to go and set up their next 3 stores.
Yeah.
And so that is an example of from a little shop in downtown Malton to 3 stores to 6 to 9. And I believe they just got recently sold for 79 million.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it is a really amazing story. Yet it was right in front of us, and it's it just got bought out, and it's something that I imagine that they never thought about it because they were always so busy. And I think the last 10 years, which they have expanded so much from everywhere now, I guess, in GTA.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got them in the West here. You've got at least one out your way. I think they're in the East as well. Yeah. It seems everywhere you go, they've popped up somewhere.
So they really came up with investing and reinvesting and cash flow systemization. You can just think about the different systems that they have now. It's now like many of the businesses, they're technology businesses.
Yes.
And so that's what's fascinating as you build the next round of your business that you're involved with, is in what ways can we use technology? And I know that this is where your partners come in, is that your email system could be a partner.
Right.
Whether you decide to use different types of platforms for customer relations, CRM, marketing, Facebook, Google. So what's beautiful right now about entrepreneurship is that you have these multi-billion-dollar platforms that all want to invest in you.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, one of the things Jackie and I saw at through Shopify, they've even got a loan program for the people that are just starting out in that. So it's very interesting to see, the amount of support that they provide, and even the training and everything to make sure that whoever invests in them as a customer is going to, get many, many things back. And, obviously when people start to speak so highly of it, it gains more traction for them. So very impressive.
Well, that's been the big shift in the last 6 months with companies like Shopify or Etsy, even Square and PayPal. These, they're combining financial engineering with payments, with banking. And so there's a huge move right now into that turf of the traditional banks that are really being gobbled up right now or explored by your platform companies. And it's really visible right now. The biggest deal that was done this past week was out of Singapore called Grab, which started as a taxi hailing. And then it went into delivery of meals. And then it went into logistics. And then it went into finance. And this past round, in fact, they did 7 rounds of funding. And the last one was actually including their bank license.
Oh, wow.
And so now Grab just did a deal where they got valued. Last year it was 18 billion. This week it was 40 billion.
Oh.
And it's because it's a total, now it's really quite a financial base that allows people to not only get your car delivered, your meals delivered, perhaps some of your financial requirements delivered.
Yeah, I guess it's like that whole concept, like you have your customer find out everything they need and just keep taking care of them. I mean, you look, 2 things come to mind from your part right here. Disney, like Walt Disney World and Disneyland and all that, they want you to stay on the property and keep everything in house. You accommodation, your meals, your entertainment, all that in there. But the other place is Vegas, right? Those hotels are so huge, and you don't really have to leave the hotel, and you get everything in there. And it's that whole concept, I guess. Take care of them, keep everything in house. Why pay for an entertainment guy when you can put on just as good a show, if not better, in house? So interesting. Now that we're sort of taking it, I guess, to the technology level.
Well, with technology and then finance and then customer experience and then feedback loops, these are all really key components in the business that you have right now. And what's really fascinating is that there is a little bit of the designer, is that which partners do you want to provide that? And that's where again, the big boys are really battling, whether it's a Microsoft battling for your business or Google or Facebook, and they want to have an ecosystem that can really deliver to you. And now the finance side is really going to be disrupted in the next 5 to 10 years. And the big banks are all quite worried about it, because in many ways, when you're a captive client is providing so many great service and you get feedback. And I think that's the thing that many of these tech companies are pretty good at, creating the artificial intelligent feedback loop, the robot feedback loop. Mm-hmm. Still probably pretty challenging if you want to hear somebody's voice or get the question answered, yet that's part of the growing pains also. So Bill, that's the 10x, that's the 100x, the cash flow where you really start investing and reinvesting into systemizing it so that the customer experience is just grows along with you. And again, there can be a ladder of services that can be provided. And I think that's what we're seeing with a Grab, that they can take you all the way from getting a taxi ride or a meal delivered all the way up to, probably in the next couple of years, they're going to be the financial services of managing your portfolio, providing the mortgage for you. So it takes you through a whole experiential funnel of services and products.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that would be in your next mastermind or heart circle session with the team. You can start asking what if,
yeah.
Explore some of those. So as we bring the session to a close, I did have a little link that if anyone wanted to check out the Udemy course that you've gone through. It's all about fundamentals to inspiring entrepreneurship. Is there any question that you might have about that, or anything that you might want to further say about how that program can assist somebody go through the process of entrepreneurship?
Well, the course itself was awesome. I really enjoyed it. What would be, once you invest in that course, what course would you next suggest?
Well, the one thing that I'm really going to be exploring is on occasion we can have some coaching, one-on-one coaching. I think that's the element that could be very exciting for somebody who has an idea or has a business and they want to scale it. So they really are deciding, I want to scale my business. I want to 10x it. And so they can call, they can hit a message, and we can set up a session. I believe Canada Startup's going to do it under a special. It's regularly $250, yet I think we're going to be able to do it for $150 for about a 2-hour session. That's going to include some profiling and an opportunity to get some coaching and direction to scale your business. And it might be taking the specifics of what we're talking about today and taking somebody through a real good journey, answering any specific questions and seeing how that can serve them moving forward.
That's excellent.
So we're inviting people to check us out on Canada Startup on Meetup. We're really inviting people to check out the YouTube, which is Continual Shift. And that's about mental wellness and financial literacy for social entrepreneurs. And it's an opportunity to, if you've got questions for Bill or myself, or you'd like to maybe even come aboard and have a session with us online, we're up for that. We're inviting some guests in the next couple of weeks to be part of that. This is Bill's site. If about anything hockey, talk to Bill about hockey. He's still doing the coaching or the scouting, and very, very passionate about hockey. If you got any opportunities in the hockey sphere, drop us a note, because we'd definitely like to explore that, especially if you're interested in either growing a hockey business or being part of a hockey business. And with that, I want to thank our sponsors again, Lead Pedal Radio. It's been great to work with the team. Global Dialogue Foundation. Check out their Instagram. On Facebook, also Global Dialogue Foundation are doing daily posts to promote dialogue and communication and unity and diversity. And so with that, what would be a last send-off today, Bill, that resonates with the 20th of April. Oh, 420 is today. I don't know if you have any message for that, but what other message might you have for any of our friends today?
Well, 4 and 20. I mean, I'm thinking a case of beer first thing.
Okay.
No, I think, you know, what we've been learning and what you've been teaching me and that sort of thing. I think, you know, just have conversations and, you know, think about telling your story and you know, see where it can lead. You never know. If you just ask, you never know what's going to come your way. So always be willing to ask questions.
Absolutely. I think asking questions, practicing asking questions, again, having conversations. I think that's really great, Bill, is that some people have had a lot more conversations during the last year. We've had a lot of great conversations. Some people haven't been having very many. And so if you're finding loneliness or you're finding depression or any of those issues, another group that we're supporting is Voice of Men 360. They've got a whole support group of helping men and boys with some of their challenges. And next, some people might even be joining for Pray Love, which again is combining different types of therapy, spiritual psychotherapy, different types of assistance to people who might be going through some challenges right now, which we do know the numbers are going up. So with that, I just want to wish everybody a safe time, good time, and hopefully a time where you can let go and learn. And I think that's a big component of the people that found the last year to be quite healthy, uplifting. A key component was that they were learning.
Yes, most definitely.
So thank you very much, Bill, for all your support in the learning cycles that we've been going through. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Excellent. Thanks again, Dave. We'll see you next week.